Hey guys, so I'm actually recording this video a little late, so I'm not gonna have actual footage for you for this month 4, but I'll do my best to describe to you my progress and where I was, and I'm also just gonna show you a bunch of different exercises that I was doing for month 4, which you're ultimately gonna be carrying out through month 5, 6, 7, and so these are just gonna be really good exercises on top of the things that you've already seen in my other videos as well. So basically from week 13 to end of week 16, so pretty much all of month 4, at this point you're probably out of the boot and able to walk. You know, you might be near full weight bearing, albeit probably with a bit of a limp, and I think you're not able to probably fully extend your ankle range of motion yet. So as you're walking, it still kind of looks like you're moving your foot forward, landing with your heel and just taking a half step. So it definitely feels a little bit more awkward, and people can tell that, you know, you're injured and you're limping. This is all normal. It's very important at this stage to practice conscious walking. And so what do I mean by that? It's just that whenever you're walking somewhere, you know, when you had your boot on, you were just, you know, you were conscious of it, but you were just trying to get you're using your leg like a club almost. You know, it just sits down and you're walking past it. You're not really focusing on your ankles, on your calves, your push-offs, anything like that. And you needed to, because, you know, you're recovering and healing. But at this point, it's really important just for your overall, I guess, health, mobility for your legs, your hips, and everything around there, that you're trying to practice as best biomechanics as you can. So what that means is that when you're taking a walk, try to remember how you walked before you were injured, and try to look at your left leg as well. So you're gonna land with your heel first, but then your toes are gonna be pointed up. So right now you're probably not as able to point your toes up when you're walking because you don't have that same kind of flexibility yet. But just keep that in mind, that, you know, your brain is trying to make that muscle connection. Even though it's not going up very far, you want to lift your toes up, land with your heel, and then as you transition through your whole foot, try to land and then walk straight past it on, and then roll onto the balls of your feet, and then push off with your toes as well. You know, kind of how your left foot would be in terms of taking a step. So your range of motion is going to be very limited, especially at the very beginning of week 13. But as the weeks progress, you want to be able to take a bit more of a kind of a more natural step. So the next thing I want to talk about is your incision site. So you're going to notice some swelling around the repair as your Achilles is getting stretched and strengthened right now. So this period of time right now is going to really be, it's going to cause a lot of, I guess, tension onto your Achilles, and that's what it takes to strengthen it. So it's going to stretch a little bit, but then outside of just stretching it, you also need to strengthen it. So those two things, that combination of the two things, is going to slowly mold your Achilles tendon. So it will make it softer and more pliable as time goes on. Don't rush it. Don't be afraid. You know, don't worry that it's going to stay like that forever. It is something that I've noticed from my left one from 2 years ago, and even my right one now, is that as you get the flexibility and strength back, the tendon will naturally want to kind of go back to the similar position as it was before you hurt it. So it's just your body has a bunch of DNA memory or genetics, things like that, that's basically telling it how to heal and how to form itself, and what it needs to act and feel like to handle, you know, all the things that you're going to put it through. So everything you're doing now is kind of basically just telling your body, hey, this is the range of motion, this is kind of like the strength I need to carry on my day, and your body will naturally adapt to that. So next, in terms of exercises, like, your calves is a muscle that heals very quickly, and it stays, and it's very, I guess, how should I call it? It works really well under endurance activities. So just think about like stamina. You're gonna be walking around a lot, there's marathon runners. Your calves is one muscle point, or one muscle, similar to your abs as well, that you can almost train every day. And so, and you can actually train every day. And so for your calves, go by what works for you in terms of like how your body's feeling. Everyone's gonna be a bit different depending on, you know, how your calves are feeling, how much work you've been putting into it till now. One thing to remember is that for your calves, try to do sets of 3 sets of 10 calf raises if you can, and there's a progression of them. You can do one-legged calf raises leaning over a chair or a table, or eventually once you progress closer to week 15 or 16 and you're able to do more one-legged calf raises on your own, you're probably not going to get the full lift. It's not going to go as high as what your left one or your uninjured leg would be able to do, and that's fine, and it's going to feel like a flat tire. It's going to feel like you almost have no ability to get off the ground. That's all part of it, and so just slowly work on it and just make sure that every single day it's trying to get a little bit stronger, and just keep putting in the work, and you'll see it come along. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment on YouTube, or reach out to me, and I'd be happy to answer any specific questions you guys may have. You're not going to be able to walk normally without a limp until somewhere, I'd say in like month 5 or even month 6, depending on how much work you're putting in to your range of motion. And your body and your mind and your body will always kind of ease into it, because you're going to feel like, hey, is it ready yet? You know what I mean? So sometimes you may be ready, but you're almost holding yourself back. And that's okay in some cases as well. Just make sure you keep that biomechanics strong. So in terms of a routine, kind of like a physio exercise session, this is what it can look like. And so usually, I'll show you here in these video clips, you can start as usual just by warming up your Achilles through either a hot shower or manually massaging your Achilles and your ankles, and basically just getting the blood flowing. Then I usually foam roll my legs, my hips, my glutes, just to get everything loosened up. Next, you want to work on dynamic stretching exercises. We're going to be doing Go forward with your knees as far as possible, but be careful, as you only want to feel a slight stretch before returning to the standing position. This is a dynamic stretch, so we don't want you to hold that end stretch for long. We basically just want you to go through that range of motion back and forth. And each time it's going to go just a little bit deeper. Do a set of 10 knee over toes, and then take a short break, and then if you can, repeat for a total of 3 sets. So by now, your Achilles is going to be really sore. And that's okay, let it rest for a few minutes. If you need to, shake it out, manually massage it a little bit if it helps to, loosen it up. The next exercise will be the same as the last video, and basically you just want to be standing on one leg. My physiotherapist got me to, I think, halfway through month 4, month 5, we progressed to standing on a trampoline or half Bosu ball, where I was still holding onto something with my hands, but it just allowed me to challenge my ankles, my stabilizers much more. After this, another exercise that's good to add now is glute bridges. And there are different progressions for this, and you can move through it as your strength feels up for it. The first is just both feet flat on the ground and just rising your hips up. Your injured leg is going to be very, very weak, so that's fine. Your glutes and hamstrings probably haven't had much work for the past few months in your calf and boot, so it's catch-up time. So you can start with both feet on the ground and just doing your hip raises. Eventually, you can even move to doing the hip raises on your tippy toes as your strength permits. So you can see you rise up on your hippy toes while you do your hip raises. And then eventually, if you're able to, and this might take until you're month 6 or month 7, but something to look forward to is that you can start doing these hip raises just with one leg. And then lastly, we saved the best for last, and this is just going to be the good old calf raises. So this is going to be your bread and butter for strengthening your calves from now until forever. There's going to be progressions where eventually you can do negatives, on the stairs, but you're not there at this point yet. So just keep doing standard calf raises, progressing from getting assist over a table to being able to do it just on that single leg on its own. Okay, so that's it in terms of exercises and the update for month 4. You're going to be carrying out most of these exercises, like I said, throughout the next few months until you're ready for more sport-specific exercises. And I'd say that comes in around starting month 7. You can look into it. Remember to be aware of your body right now. It's quite unbalanced between your right side and your left side. So you just want to make sure that you're really focused on making sure you're not getting any more muscle atrophy just overall, and then that you're slowly increasing that strength along with the flexibility and range of motion in your ankles, but just increasing that overall leg strength and flexibility in your hips. I started driving again around week 16 when I was able to press on the brakes really hard with the balls of my foot, almost like it was like an emergency brake. So you can practice kicking a medicine ball or a cushion against a wall, you know, when you're working at a desk and you're just kind of pushing against something to see how much strength you have. Because you want to think about, if you were to drive and someone ran in front of your car or you had to emergency stop, you have to be able to fully stop the vehicle with that leg and be able to push in without feeling like, you know, your muscle will give out and you're just not going to be able to push in, or you're going to injure yourself or anything like that. So just be careful before you're actually thinking about driving. And that wraps up this video. So sorry about how late this is in terms of posting and getting it out, but I will make another video really soon, just catching up with month 5 and month 6, and then we'll go on from there. All right, thanks a lot. See you soon.